Next on Paranormal, Caught on Camera. Hikers sheltering in a Scottish hut are tormented.
I'm out of here.
By a poltergeist.
The door just kind of slammed shut. We ran out of the door, and we actually ran all the way out of the bothy.
A man in California hears the whimper of his dearly departed dog.
I was scared. Then I started feeling like happy. Then it started really hitting me. It's like, oh crap, this is real.
Two separate researchers in England catch a glimpse of a Sasquatch.
We can see something very large walking along the tree line as if it's pacing the person holding the camera.
And even more paranormal footage you have to see to believe. There is a theory in the world of the paranormal that the residual energy left behind by numbers of different people inhabiting the same space over hundreds or even thousands of years often results in a haunt. And considering the footage of two hikers in the UK who spent a night in a centuries-old hut in the middle of the southern uplands of Scotland, that so-called theory has an awful lot of truth to it.
I'm out of here.
October 2024, in the southern uplands of Scotland. Hiker Ben Harrison and his friend and fellow content creator Martin are exploring the remote countryside for their respective online channels when an oncoming storm forces them to seek shelter in a structure unique to the United Kingdom. A bothy.
So we're in the bothy. There's nobody else here. I'm Ben Harrison, and this is my video.
So the wind's starting to pick up a little bit. You can really feel the gusts when you come up high.
We found the bothy. It was during the week. There was nobody else there. And they're really lonely places. You know, they're miles from civilization. You know, there's no running water, there's no electricity, there's no plumbing at all, there's no toilets. And these places have just remained the same, you know, for well over a century now.
A bothy is basically like a hut. So people working that land, people walking through, if they're hiking, if they're traveling, having a place to stay becomes pretty essential.
A couple of areas to sleep.
And they've become available, open to travelers who simply need shelter, who need a place to stay.
So when we walked into the bothy, everything was fine. There was no weird vibes. It felt quite homely, actually. It wasn't a creepy place at all.
At least, not initially. Because hours later, the vibe changes dramatically.
Found the bothy book. You can put my glasses on now, Tess.
I was filming Martin reading from the bothy book, which is a diary that people will leave a few lines in about their stay at the bothy.
And just as Martin begins reading, watch closely.
Well done. Absolutely spotless. Hold on a minute.
I'm out of here. No.
The door just kind of slammed shut, and we panicked slightly, as you would expect. We ran out of the door, and we actually ran all the way out of the bothy.
That door moving just a little bit, to me, kind of really was calling their attention to look in that direction.
Absolutely spotless.
And then slamming it all the way, I think, was kind of more a show of power, a show of its presence.
I'm out
Being that the door was opened kind of with its back to a wall, I don't think like a draft from the storm raging outside could have closed it and then really slammed it with force the way it did.
The front door of the bothy was shut. It had a latch on it. It was closed, and there's no other door in the bothy apart from the internal one. Whatever closed that door, it was closed with quite a bit of force.
And about 10 minutes later, whatever did close that door makes its presence felt yet again.
There's a storm going on outside, so...
As Ben and Martin discuss what just happened, watch this chair closely.
It's the only rational explanation, even though I'm not even looking at that.
The chair, which was directly behind Martin, began to move. It moves ever so slightly, but it's quite a loud noise with the metal legs moving on the concrete floor. It was quite dark in there. I couldn't really make it out at first. I could just hear it.
But as he gets closer,
That is moving.
And I could see it with my own eyes. It was moving ever so slightly, maybe it's only about 4 or 5 inches. The chair was moving across the floor on its own.
One of them, you could tell, is noticing this chair move in his peripheral vision, and he refuses to look at it or acknowledge it.
I'm not even looking at that.
A lot of us do that, right? We just like, I don't want to acknowledge that there is some really creepy stuff happening right now, or like, if I acknowledge it, am I going to amplify this activity?
but amplified or not, this kind of activity should probably be expected when you're in a bothy.
I think the nature of this kind of place lends itself to an understanding where there's just this residual imprint over years, over decades, over centuries even. That layering, I think, generates that sense of presence and that sense of energy.
And while the two make it through the night, Ben is just glad he had some human company along the way.
I think if I was on my own and I experienced the door closing and definitely the chair moving, then I would have gone. I wouldn't have stayed in that bothy on my own. But because there was two of us there, and a box of wine, and we managed to get through the night.
Coming up, a man's departed best friend gives him one last goodbye. When thinking of loved ones who have passed away, it's usually their most distinctive characteristics that tend to stick in our minds. A boisterous laugh, a warm disposition, a generous heart. So, how would you react if you could experience it just one more time? One man in California, grieving the death of his beloved dog, can tell you firsthand. April 2025, in Santa Clara, California. It's been 1 month since Lupe Diaz and his wife Laura have lost their best friend Maxie. And ever since, Lupe has been feeling distraught.
My name is Lupe Diaz Jr., and this is my video. When I met Maxie, he was around 1 year old. He hated me in the beginning. He's been with us for a very long time. He was with me specifically 16 years, right? But my wife, a year prior to that. I think that's why the connection is so strong. Towards his last few weeks, it was very difficult to see him getting weaker and weaker, right? So I really suffered at the end, with just seeing him slowly decline.
But a month after Maxie's passing, as Lupe checks his email on his home computer, his foster dog resting on the couch behind him, something suddenly happens that blows his mind. Listen closely. A dog's whimper, seemingly out of thin air.
Maxie has a very particular cry. So instantly, I got chills. And I didn't know what to think of it at first. It kind of shocked me. And I was like, I kind of blew it off. So then I went back to my computer. Then I heard it again. I didn't know what to do. I got up and I kind of just briefly looked around. And I was so freaked out. But it was a rush of good emotions as well. First, the shock, I was scared. Then I started feeling happy. Then it started really hitting me. It's like, oh crap, this is real. This really happened.
What I hear very clearly is a typical whiny noise that you would get from a small dog that's seeking attention.
It's always good when you have a second witness to a very kind of a strange event. So in this case, you have Lupe, but you also have a dog witness.
The dog and the man both kind of looked at each other as if, was that you? That wasn't me. Was that you?
It almost, to me, honestly, seemed like he was kind of on the verge of tears, but mixed with excitement and confusion kind of all at the same time.
In the video, you won't see because I cut it off. I went to the restroom and I cried over there because, it was very difficult because I really miss him.
And that's when Lupe realizes the moment may have been recorded.
So I checked the cameras and then I heard the sound and I was like, oh my God, and I got the chills. I sent it to my parents actually, and my dad called me right away. He's like, yeah, that's Maxie. Within my family and my core group that I kind of communicate daily, everyone saw the video before it was even posted, and everyone was just kind of shocked and amazed.
But for Lupe and Laura, even more than shock and amazement, the primary emotion they felt was relief.
I truly believe this is a way for him to tell me he's okay, that not to worry about him, because I really had some difficult moments randomly, I'll just kind of be in the living room and then start crying because this is my first time ever going through loss for a dog. It's just been rough,
Which is why Lupe is just happy to have been given one more moment with his friend.
I definitely will cherish this moment forever. I really feel just happy overall that he was able to tell me he's okay.
Coming up, childlike entities at a school blow the minds of two police officers in Mexico. Laughter is usually associated with the response to something funny or amusing. Usually. But did you know that it can also be an involuntary reaction to something absolutely terrifying. Just ask a police officer in Mexico who rolled up on two shadowy figures at 3 a.m. and reacted like this. November 2024, in Nayarit, Mexico. It's 3 a.m., and police officer Jesus Rubalcaba and another officer are patrolling outside of a school when, behind the school's locked gates, they see something that floors them. Watch again. Zoomed in this time. As Jesus films from his squad car, two small figures can be seen just behind the school gates, before suddenly running off into the darkness. Two small figures that, according to Jesus, cannot possibly be there.
My name is Jesus, and this is my video. I was surprised, scared as well. But everything happened really quickly. We couldn't see them, not their feet, faces, or anything like that. We could see shapes, but couldn't fully see them. We were shocked from seeing them, and they were shocked to see us.
This is the kind of stuff that horror films and nightmares are basically made of, right? It's such an unusual clip, to say the least.
The faces seem to be obscured of these little figures, but we can kind of see their hands grasping the bars of the gate. And we can certainly hear these high-pitched, shrieky wails that they're making just before they run off into the distance.
If these are kids, why are they at the school at 3 a.m.? And if they are real kids and they're at a school at 3 a.m., how did they get in there if everything is locked and it's being patrolled? How did these cops not see this?
Is this something residual, just playing back? Or is this an actual spirit that has come to play in the nighttime?
All questions that Jesus asks in the moment as well. And it overwhelms him to such a degree that he can't help but laugh.
I became anxious. I mean, one doesn't know how to react to these types of events.
I had a very similar experience where it was so scary and frightening that you almost went into this hysterical laughter as a way to kind of deal with the pressure in a way.
Some people still don't believe it. They thought they may be the watchman's children. But there are no night watchmen at this school.
So, if it's not the watchman's children, or anyone's children for that matter, where exactly did they come from? One detail regarding the school's history may provide a clue.
It used to be a pantheon, like a cemetery. There are some people's testimonies of passing by the school and hearing kids crying, playing, yelling. It's an old school.
So putting those two things together on the same land, building a school on top of a cemetery, is really just asking to rile up all sorts of different energies and presences that might be there.
Energies and presences that, despite the officer's initial shock, may not be so nefarious.
If these are indeed ghosts, and childlike ghosts at that, it doesn't necessarily mean that they died on the school property or were buried in the cemetery before the school was erected. These could be just old souls that are drawn into the energy of the location and decide to play there and linger on.
They could be. But whatever the source of the activity, Jesus has decided to use the experience as a jumping off point for more.
There are more legends around town, not just at the school. I'm interested in looking for more of these things.
Coming up, a group of explorers at a Georgia theater.
This is so cool.
Capture 2 separate paranormal anomalies. Whether it's the actors on stage or the audience watching, perhaps no medium evokes more raw emotion in a single space than live theater. Which is why many theaters around the world are thought to be haunted. And if you don't believe it, consider the case of 2 investigators in Georgia who visited an old opera house during the off hours and caught the paranormal performances of a lifetime. October 2020, in Macon, Georgia.
Grand Opera House.
Paranormal investigators April Grace, Kevin Davis, and 3 others arrive at the Grand Opera House, a legendary theater with a storied past.
We are inside the Grand Opera House by ourselves.
Hi, I'm Kevin.
I'm April.
And this is our video. When you walk in, you could just feel the old history, but it was definitely eerie.
Everything almost looked like it was still original. So there are chandeliers, there are columns, and then being in there with no other people, we were allowed access. That was what was really eerie about it. Wow. Guys, this is awesome. This is so cool. It's so pretty. The energy inside of it was kind of different.
And only minutes into the investigation, they find out just how different it really is. Watch closely. Did you catch it? Watch again, zoomed in this time. A figure. Dark and seemingly transparent, appears to quickly pass by a doorway.
Who's back there? I saw someone walk back there. I was confused because he didn't see it. I was walking and I saw it. And I was like, there's no one there. Right before that, we just verified where everybody was. There was only one person there to let us in. He was on the stage. Jake was up at the very top. He had climbed to the top of the theater. Jenny was on the second level above us. So I knew nobody was there. But from what I saw at it, I saw a shadow.
You can see clearly something moves from right going left. It seems to me anyway that it's semi-transparent, but certainly solid enough to clearly see what it is.
We see all the people that are supposedly in the building at the time on camera, all of the investigators, what they're wearing. Certainly none of them are wearing black clothes with a black cape. And that appears to be what this shadow figure is dressed in.
So, if it's not one of April and Kevin's cohorts, Then who or what could it be? April has a theory.
I think maybe it was someone that used to work there, because it was like it was pacing almost in that hallway.
And according to local lore, April may be onto something.
In the Grand, it is said there are at least 2 signature spirits, including a classic lady in white singing soprano. And then there is the spirit of a former employee or director who tragically died on site.
Some people report seeing his spirit, especially in the aisles between the seats.
And in fact, just minutes later, as April heads up to the balcony, watch closely.
Let's sit here for a minute. Actually, let's see if we can get this way.
Did you see that? Watch again. In an aisle between the seats, something appears to descend the stairs, which no one is aware of until the video is posted online.
I did not see that in person. It looks like someone walking down the stairs to me.
That is what I consider to be a silhouette apparition, where we're only seeing the silver lining of something that's formed that we can't really see with our own eyes, and maybe sometimes the camera can't even convey, but it's able to pick up these silver lines around an apparition.
It looks like ectoplasm, right? Ectoplasm really was believed by some to be a physical manifestation of a spirit.
So, could these figures be the soprano, the director, or someone or something else entirely?
When it comes to like theaters or opera houses or just places of entertainment that have been here for an extended period of time, I think so many energies come in and out and have spent so much time there that it just holds in these places.
Certainly a possibility. But regardless of who or what it is, as for April and Kevin, they're believers.
It was a little bit more proof that there are things out there. It exists. You just have to be open to it and accessible to it. You just can't be closed-minded.
Coming up, is this hulking creature the legendary British Bigfoot? Many cultures around the world have their own version of a large, hairy, bipedal beast that lives among the trees. In America, it's Bigfoot. In Asia, the Yeti. And in England, it's the woodwose. A term from Old English meaning wild man of the woods. And if you ask one paranormal expert in England, based on 2 recent videos that were sent to her, that wild man of the woods is most certainly very, very real. In 2018, in Epping Forest, England, a researcher explores the woods, hoping to discover what's responsible for horses being attacked in the area.
Wow, a lot of sticks in it.
But though he encounters strange structures, he finds no hard evidence of any predators. That is, until 5 years later, when he receives a phone call from Deborah Hatswell, a cryptid and paranormal investigator who is looking into a reported woodwose sighting and wondering if he has any footage of the Epping Forest area. And when the researcher re-reviews his 2018 footage for Deborah, just in case, he sees something he missed the first time around. Watch the trees extremely closely. Did you see it? Watch again. Zoomed in this time. In the distant background, walking behind some trees, a shadowy figure, seemingly trying to hide from the man's view. He immediately sends the footage to Deborah.
My name's Deborah Hatswell, and these 2 videos were sent to me. What you see is a dark figure that's kind of standing behind a tree, and as he pans the camera, you notice an anomaly, a movement. It looks like a tall creature is stepping from one tree to the next. And we hear that often in Bigfoot reports, that they will use the trees, the shadows, the bushes to kind of watch a person when they're in an area.
We can see something very large, something very dark, kind of blending in, walking along the tree line as if it's pacing the person holding the camera, following them, stalking them in a way. And if you also notice, the strides are enormous. I mean, the steps that this is taking definitely shows how big the strides are and how tall and how large this thing is.
He realised going in that something just wasn't right about the area. And I think he picked up on that woodwose as he came into the area. And the woodwose picked up on him.
And incredibly, this was not an isolated event. That same year, Deborah receives another video. This time from 5 hours away in Northumberland.
Now, it's well known in the UK that there are a cluster of British Bigfoot reports in the Northumberland area, and it's just on the border with Scotland, so it's ideal territory.
Ideal for an incredible capture. Watch closely.
Right, I'll stop it there.
Watch again. In slow motion, as the explorer films the forest, he accidentally captures this dark figure.
So the creature he saw that day, he said it was incredibly broad in the shoulders. It was thickly muscled, very dark brown hair, and it was kind of a similar colour to the woods that were behind it.
It looks like a dark figure. We could make the assumption that it's covered in hair, but at minimal, it's a figure that is pacing or off just a little ways from the witness themselves, which is kind of a creepy thought.
Creepy. But according to Deborah, also a testament to the potential sacrifices these researchers make to discover the truth.
7.5 feet tall, of thick, solid muscle, of a creature that's impossible, that you can see and nobody else is around for miles, is a very frightening experience. But Bigfoot researchers are out there to do that. That's why they put their hours in. That's why they go out in the worst weather to try and get these kind of captures. I feel that the men have captured the British Bigfoot on camera.
Coming up, a paranormal investigator charters a boat to study New Jersey's skyrocketing rise.
That is gnarly.
In UFO sightings.
That looks so bright compared to the others, though. It does.
Beginning in November of 2024, residents of the state of New Jersey began spotting mysterious drone-like objects in the sky.
They're large. They're very large.
Usually from dusk until midnight.
I don't know what it is, but it's just a bright light in the sky.
And it didn't take long for these sightings to gain national attention. And with it, lots of questions about what these objects were and where they came from. prompting one intrepid paranormal investigator to go to great lengths in an attempt to find the answers.
Yo, that's 100% one. 100%.
January 2025, on the coast of Atlantic City, New Jersey. Paranormal investigator C.J. Faison, a ghost hunter by trade, has chartered a boat to research an unsettling and omnipresent phenomenon within the state of New Jersey. A skyrocketing rise in UFO sightings.
I'm gonna vlog this whole experience for you all. We're gonna document as much as we possibly can.
And though CJ expects to spend 3 full nights on the charter,
man, this is wild.
Just a few hours after pulling out from the dock.
See to the right, what the is that? Yo, that's 100% one. 100%. Yeah, get the out.
Followed soon after by another, larger one.
One there.
And then another.
That is gnarly.
Flashing in the distance. Before finally.
I think it hasn't moved since we saw it first. That looks so bright compared to the others though.
It does.
I guess the other ones are so high still.
Yeah.
The sky appears to be filled with flashing lights.
Not moving at all.
No, that thing's not moving, not even a bit.
So, what exactly is going on here?
My name is CJ Faison, and this is my video. When whatever these things were, I'm gonna call it, an unidentified object for lack of a better term, some of them were almost like a rectangular shape, but they had lights on all 4 corners. And then if you would zoom in really, really close, you would notice like some of the blinking lights were almost like a strobe like this, really, really quick.
That is gnarly.
I look back and I'm like, okay, we really caught something here. This was not your normal average night.
There's a lot of footage here, and these guys are capturing a prolonged series of activity in the skies above New Jersey. We're not talking about a couple lights that blink on and off in a matter of seconds. We are speaking about several minutes worth of footage, and that is pretty interesting.
And while blinking lights might usually be a sign of some kind of conventional aircraft, these are different.
What CJ recorded is unusual for a number of reasons. These objects that people are describing as drones, they're staying up in the air for a lot longer than conventional drones. Sometimes people are reporting these for, 10 hours, lasting all night, which is not something that your regular commercial drone can do yet, being battery powered, even hydrogen powered, right? You're only getting a couple hours out of these things max, yet how are they staying in the air this long?
No, that thing's not moving, not even a bit.
By the time they reached the shoreline, they were significantly higher. If it were a plane, obviously it would be descending, especially if it was that visible and that low.
So, if not an airplane, drone, or anything else familiar, then what? CJ has a theory.
I still think it's like a foreign adversary. I really do. Like, I hope not either, but man, we don't need that at all.
If I had to make an educated guess, I would say that it was some type of military aircraft. And the size of these things, it varied. Like some were like really low, and you could tell like, okay, no one's getting in that thing. Very quiet. They had no hum to them. I would like to believe that our government knows what they are, and they've kind of come out and said, yeah, we know what they are, but they didn't give us an answer directly.
But perhaps officials aren't answering questions because they're just trying to figure out how and why these things are doing what they're doing.
The crafts that human beings make, that we know of, like our drones, airplanes, helicopters, things of that nature, they all have indicator lights. And so now we're seeing crafts that we don't recognize with these indicator lights. And what's starting to pique the interest of the people that are noticing this type of phenomena is that maybe these new crafts that are coming in that could be extraterrestrial or subterranean terrestrial stuff is starting to mimic our crafts so that they could go by in the skies undetected.
If that's the case, CJ believes that those in the know might not feel the masses are quite ready for that kind of information.
Number one, they don't want mass hysteria of like there is actually other life out there that we don't know of, but they do. Or number two, it's some type of military operation that we probably should have shut up and looked the other way on, and it might have been a safety thing for our country. You know, there's no telling really.
Whatever they are, CJ is grateful for the opportunity and remains open to all possibilities.
So I definitely feel that there is a chance that there is extraterrestrial life out there, and if this was them, I definitely think they kind of made their presence known without showing face. You know, they didn't put all the cards out on the table, and being out on that boat was the best answer I could get.
That is gnarly.
What should you do in the event you witness something paranormal? Here are some tips to get it all on camera. Check your footage, and then check it again. If you're not satisfied with the explanation of others,
that is gnarly.
Investigate it for yourself. Trust that what you're hearing really is something paranormal. And if you do catch something, email us at submitparanormal@gmail.com. Your footage could be seen right here on Paranormal Caught on Camera.